Maybe not. Well, we'll soon find out, won't we, ladies and gentlemen? Once we get this thing rolling, once we get started here, I don't know why it's not showing on here, but it's not showing on YouTube apparently. Let's see here a minute here. Okay, let me get out of here for a minute or two. It's not working on YouTube. Hold on a minute here. There we go. Okay, now we got it. Okay, that's off. Wait a minute. Hold on. View. Hear me out there? Hopefully you can hear me on YouTube. Okay. All right. Let's try this and let's see how it goes. Okay. Here we go and boom.
720 WGN Radio, it's Iridian Fierro, and we are a few days away from All Elite Wrestling's pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, on Sunday, June 30th. And then AEW is set to make its return to Chicago on July 3rd for AEW Dynamite. Joining me now to talk about both events is the president and CEO of AEW, Tony Kahn. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me on.
I am so excited to chat with you.
Year in all of pro wrestling, and it's this Sunday, and right after Forbidden Door, we're bringing one of the biggest AEW Dynamites of the year to the Wintrust Arena next Wednesday, July 3rd. It's going to be a very, very special event, and stay tuned to AEW Social to hear more about what I'm bringing to Chicago. It's going to be a great night next Wednesday. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., you can count on a great show on TBS from AEW. This Wednesday is a great show, and you better believe next Wednesday I'm going to bring something really special when we come back to Chicago.
That's awesome to hear. And you're working with CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling, featuring a lot of amazing wrestlers. You have Mercedes Moné facing Stephanie Vaquer. You got Swerve versus Ospreay, Danielson and Takagi, and a ladder match for the TBS Championship. What is the match that you...
on this card, top to bottom, there are so many great matches. I think Moxley versus Naito in a rematch for the IWGP World Championship is something really special. What Jon Moxley's been able to do, becoming the first wrestler ever to hold the AEW World Championship, the WWE World Championship, and now New Japan's IWGP World Championship. And he won it right there in Chicago at the Wintrust Arena. And for us to be coming back there next week, I think it's a great omen, and John is the greatest AEW wrestler of all time. He's probably one of the most decorated world champions of all time ever in wrestling, and I do think that is a match I'm especially looking forward to, but there's so many great things on the show, with Swerve Strickland, the AEW world champion, taking on Will Ospreay, the AEW international champion, and I think two of the greatest women's champions story that's been developing between Tony, Mina, and their shared love for Mariah May, who will be in both women's corners for this great match coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view, and to have the TBS champion, the face of the channel, Mercedes Moné, the biggest free agent signing in the history of women's pro wrestling, and one of the biggest free agent signings ever in wrestling, came to AEW, has won the TBS championship, is the face of our channel, and now she's going to take on one of the top international wrestlers, Stephanie Vaquer, who is not only a great wrestler for CMLL, the league you mentioned in Mexico, the world's oldest wrestling promotion. So Stephanie is the New Japan strong women's champion. That's a belt Mercedes has had her eyes on for a long time. It's title for title, take all, both belts on the line. Forbidden Door is going to be a great show. It's this Sunday. And then we're right back in Chicago next Wednesday. You're going to hear more about Everyone's going to have, for the most part, most people are going to have that Thursday, July 4th off. I highly recommend you come July 3rd, Wednesday night, because this will be AEW at our very best. And you're going to hear a lot more about it in the coming week.
And you've said such great things about your partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with Stardom, with CMLL. When you
and slip I just made, because Ring of Honor was the company that really had those partnerships. They were the American partner that teamed with New Japan Pro Wrestling and CMLL. And now AEW has taken those relationships, and I acquired Ring of Honor. And it took a long time to build that bridge, first with New Japan Pro Wrestling, then with CMLL. And we've really built a lot of trust and great relationships. We brought Stardom in this year also, the top women's wrestling league in Japan. And now we've got all these companies working together, sending their best champions, their best stars. It's going to be a great pay-per-view in New York this Sunday. But then, like I said, the follow-up, it's not just going to be, you're going to get AEW at our very best wrestling. I promise you, the best night of wrestling we could possibly put on is coming to Chicago. And again,
still use that, or have we like digitalized the match cards?
I still write everything down and keep track of all the shows. That was actually filmed before AEW Collision launched. So we actually have more matches, more great things happening. And we just got great news. Collision rating was way up this week again. And that show has been doing really well for us on Saturday. So for the fans who don't know, every Friday night and Saturday night, we do wrestling on CBS. And that's what we're going to bring to Chicago next Wednesday night, July 3rd. And I cannot put the show over strong enough. Announcement. But you want to get in on tickets early, because once I announce the matches this week, stuff is going to fly off the shelf. This is going to be a great, great show.
That is so awesome.
Love working at TBS and TNT so much. And now, like you said, we do 5 hours across Wednesday on TBS and Friday and Saturday on TNT. We're having great talks with Warner Brothers Discovery. I just had great talks with them yesterday. I'm so blessed to work with these and TNT. I know that so many of the listeners who are wrestling fans used to watch wrestling on TBS and TNT, and for some years there was no wrestling on TBS and TNT, and it's what I grew up on, and meant a lot with the launch of AEW that we bring all elite wrestling every week, yes, and weekends on TNT, and I want to keep bringing the shows here as long as possible. We have a great partnership, and we're having great talk. Days, and has helped us continue to have these great Wednesday nights on TBS.
I'm speaking with the president of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Kahn. And Tony, the first Forbidden Door was in Chicago, and this year it's in Long Island. Will this pay-per-view continue to be a traveling one and one that happens every year?
Well, it's a great question. So far, we've done 3. We have the inaugural event was at the United Center in Chicago. And then last year we were at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. And now we're bringing the event to UBS Arena in New York, where the Islanders play. And then, like I said, we'll be back in Chicago following up with one of the biggest TV shows of the year, I promise, on July 3rd. Don't want to miss that at the Wintrust Arena next Wednesday. And then As for next year's Forbidden Door, I believe we will continue to travel to the biggest and best wrestling cities in the world and continue the tradition of going to the best markets for Forbidden Door. We've seen Chicago, Toronto, and New York. I think that New York, Toronto, and definitely Chicago, those are three of the best wrestling cities. Tradition we want to keep going for Forbidden Door, going to the best cities with the best fans. And I would love to bring that event back to Chicago. Of course, we already have great pay-per-view out. I made a big announcement, All Out this year. We're going to move it back a week, create even more separation, a little, get more between All In, All Out. I think it's going to be is one of our best pay-per-view towns. That's where we launched Forbidden Door, and that's the standard we've set with this event.
Yeah, and you did mention All Out. So last year you ran those pay-per-views back to back, All In and All Out. What played into that decision of having them be a little more separated now? And do you think attendance will be affected since it's not on Labor Day weekend, or do you think it's going to stay?
I think it's a great question, and two great questions actually. And it was so special at Wembley. And last year, I think it worked very, very well with All Out, where it was one of the best pay-per-views we'd ever done. Reviews of the entire year, but I think in our 5-year run, last year's All Out was probably the best All Out we've ever done. All of those have been in Chicago, except for 2020 and the lockdown was in Jacksonville, but we were forced to move it that year. But I want to keep All Out around Chicago. It's a great tradition we built. And I love doing it in September. It's such a beautiful time to be in Chicago. And I decided to move it back a week. It's the night before the NFL kicks off. So as soon as I get done with the post-show press conference, I'll be on a plane to Miami for the Jaguars-Dolphins season opener. And I think the fans will get a little extra time to let it breathe. I thought the show worked perfectly coming off All In last year, and we built another huge pay-per-view event to come. I think we can do even more, moving it back a week and have a great run of events, All In and then All Out and Grand Slam. One of the best times of the year, I think, in all of pro wrestling and especially in AEW.
Now, Tony, there has been some criticism in the booking division. What is your thought process when it comes to booking matches for the women? And what do you think about the women's division right now? I know you said, you just signed the biggest free agent in Mercedes. You have the involvement of Stardom, but what's your process when you're working with the women?
Well, we have a great group of women's wrestlers. I think right now, across the board, everyone thinks in the history of AEW in the women's division, and I think we have the best women's wrestling in the world right now. I think what's happening in the Owen Hart women's tournament with all the wrestling for a shot at the world title, whoever has that title coming out of this weekend's pay-per-view, Toni Storm or Mina Shirakawa, people are lining up to take on the winner of Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vacker title for title match. And there's more competition and more talent in the AEW women's division than there's ever been, and more big matches. So I think by far 2024 has been the best year of the AEW women's division. And I give so much of the credit to Timeless Toni Storm, the world champion, and former TBS champion, both former TBS champions actually, and Willow Nightingale, last year's Owen Hart Cup winner, trying to go back to back this year. So many with that great group of women in AEW now.
Yeah, and there are also some stars that we haven't seen in AEW in a little bit. Would you be able to give us any updates on Jamie Hayter, on
top stars, top champions in AEW, all of them? And in each case, I'd love to get each one of them back here. They're all different cases, some injuries and some different things going on. But I think all three are great wrestlers. They're all very different situations. So they'd be different updates. But I have very, very high praise I'd put on all three of those wrestlers you brought up. And we have a lot of other great wrestlers that are away right now, too. I can't wait to world title, AEW in trios, tag team, and AEW world champion Kenny Omega one of the greatest of all time. We can't wait to get Kenny wrestlers in AEW that are unavailable right now for different reasons, mostly due to injuries, and can't wait to get them all back in.
That booking that you've done in AEW and the stories that you've been able to tell, you really have just created so much in the company. What has been your favorite moment, whether it be a match, a debut, or a story that you've been able to tell?
They're very different moments. I think, if I may, because they're so different, I would take one thing from television, one thing from pay-per-view, and again, they would be very different. I think the best thing we've ever done with AEW, the television, has been the Wednesday Night Dynamite tribute to the late, great Mr. Brody Lee. I think that it certainly was, in my opinion, the best tribute show I've seen in wrestling, and the best tribute we could have done for Mr. Brody Lee. His name was John, and anybody who knew John or Brody, they knew this guy loves his family, number one, and he loves wrestling, number two. And we really got that across that night. I mean, everyone came away saying, man, this guy. And we showed John at his best. There were great highlights, and it was a great story throughout the night that developed in the wrestling matches around John, his proteges, and his family. And I think that was probably the best TV show and the best thing we've ever done with our AEW television. And then I also think that the best thing we ever did as a pay-per-view company, and the greatest send-off we ever gave to a wrestler, and the greatest send-off I've ever seen in wrestling, was Sting's last match, Sting's retirement show. This year, Revolution 2024, the very first Revolution actually is one of my favorite shows, Revolution 2020. And it's crazy to think, almost 4.5 years ago. That's such an amazing show. That was at the Wintrust Arena, right where we're going to be back next Wednesday for this huge, huge AEW show. And there's big announcement. Sting's retirement. I didn't know if we could ever top the original Revolution, but we did it this year. Top to bottom, I think the best wrestling pay-per-view I've ever seen, culminating in the most important and best main event pay-per-view match I've ever seen. Sting's last match. And what a way for Sting to go out undefeated in AEW, 3 years, 30-0, won every match, teaming with Darby Allin, who became his best friend. When Sting walked into AEW, he didn't know Darby. He was learning about him. They made a real-life connection that came across on television. They have so much in common, yet they're so different. The bond they built is completely real, and the fans could see that. And the 3 years Sting did here, he never came in with that expectation that he would do more than just one comeback match, or that he would even wrestle in front of the live fans at all. Maybe he would just do a cinematic match. I don't think Sting's confidence where it was meant to be, because when Sting arrived in AEW, he had not been treated Forbidden Door, and I am going to aim to bring Chicago the best Dynamite we've ever done there, and quite possibly one of the best AEW television shows of all time. And I don't take that lightly or say that lightly. I have huge plans for the month of July, and it all starts at the Wintrust Arena, the very first show in July. Pro Wrestling to watch Jon Moxley win the IWGP World title. If you're a wrestling fan in Chicago, I know you might have plans on Wednesday. It's July 3rd. I know it's coming up on the holiday week. Next Wednesday, it's a big deal. But first of all, I would ask this Wednesday, this week, please watch the show going into Forbidden Door. It's going to be a great show on TBS. You're going to love it. But also check out the show in Chicago live. You won't regret it. We've done a lot of shows there at the Wintrust Arena, pay-per-view, television. This is going to be some of the best stuff we've ever done. I promise you, don't miss it. Next Wednesday, July 3rd, Chicago's Wintrust Arena. I would not steer you wrong, and I'm going to bring you the best event I possibly can next Wednesday.
I'm Meridian Fierro. For more wrestling interviews, head over to WGNradio.com. Tony, it truly has been a pleasure talking to you.
The pleasure was mine. Thanks for having me on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, how do you feel about that, all you AEW fans out there? I'm going to put the link here. Boom. There's the link. If anybody wants to join in, they're more than welcome to. So, how did you all feel about that? Next Wednesday night on TBS or TNT, one of those two, is going to be a Dynamite show. I usually don't watch AEW. WWE fan tremendously. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday nights. But now that I if you want to weigh in on what you just heard a few minutes ago. All right. Now. Are you all ready for SummerSlam coming up next month in Cleveland? Those of you that watch my videos who live in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, WWE is coming there. And all you Clevelandites or people who live in Cleveland, Ohio, who are really not into wrestling, don't go and you won't have to worry about it. But if you are a WWE fan and want to go to SummerSlam, get your tickets now at WWE.com, and you can go to SummerSlam at the Cleveland Browns Stadium. It's outside, from what I understand. So anybody enjoy that tonight? I haven't gone live in a long time, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lot better computer than that hunk of crap HP that I have back there. It freezes up all the time. I never had any problem with this little jobby. It's a little Chromebook, but it works. It works. So like I said earlier, Warner Brothers Discovery owns... Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, as you all know, was sold CNN, sold all that stuff, all their media to Discovery in Maryland. That's where Discovery Networks is located. And so that's how it was called, Warner Brothers Discovery. And TBS, TNT, all them are now part of WBD. And Max used to be... Correct me if I'm wrong out there. But why couldn't AEW use Max for those people who don't want to watch it on pay-per-view or don't have enough on Max? People subscribe to Max. Max makes money. There you go. It's like Peacock makes money. WWE uses Peacock. You subscribe to Peacock. You pay for Peacock, $4.95 or whatever the price is for Peacock. Boom, there you go. Hold on a minute. So, anybody else out there want to comment on that, what you just heard? You got the link right there, the little blue thing that you see there. So get in there and comment. Now, also, I would like to show you all something here. This, for those of you who are Hallmark fanatics, I haven't ordered these yet. Let me bring the camera out here. I know I look horrible, but this is my 2024 keepsake wish. All available in July. So let's turn it around the corner here. Now I'm going to be backwards. There it is. You see that there? I can't make the screen any bigger that you can see this. I don't know if I can do this. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up bigger for you guys. There you go. All right. There you are. All right. There's that one up there. There's this one here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the back, there's 6, 7. What's this? None of this is available till July. So I can't buy any of this stuff yet. So there you go. I can't buy none of this stuff. I'm just happy that I'm finally getting to do a live stream finally. And Sneed, if you're watching this live stream, your live stream last night was tremendous. If you're watching, and if you do get to watch this, your live stream was tremendous last night, as it always is. I never get a chance to see it anymore because I'm always forgetting it's there or forgetting it's on. Thing here that I've had for a while now. And these little icons, these little round thing that you see here are very hard to find. I was trying to get that little cat you see next to my name, but apparently that wouldn't pop up on here because it says it's too big. YouTube says it's too big, you can't do it. So there you go. And let me see if I got any banners here. Let me put this on just for a minute. There we go. All right. You can comment, question, complain, yell, scream. If you put any name calling in those emails, you will get deleted. You will get banned. You will not be allowed to come in here anymore. So I will ban you from this live stream. I mean, from commenting if you put any language that's inappropriate in the comments. Okay? All right. So how did you all feel about Tony Kahn, President and CEO CEO of AEW interview with WGN of Chicago? That's a radio station in Chicago. So how did you all feel about right there. So you can, okay, now let me put this up here on the screen. Boom. Discovery. Okay. The same as Peacock. So I'm just trying to figure out why they couldn't use uses Peacock for their premiere. There you go, boom. But I think WWE has a contract with NBC Universal. Had it for years, but if anybody can clarify me on this, please do. If I'm saying anything wrong, or if I'm saying any wrong things, please comment and say something. Let me know and correct me, because I'm not a geek when it comes to anything. And like I always say, I'm not a tech expert, nor do I claim to be. I'm just a big kid at heart when it comes to wrestling. Every week, every Monday, I have Raw on. Every Tuesday night, 8 to 10 for NXT. Every Friday night, 8 to 10 on Fox. I'm going to be happy when Fox returns to where it's all began, on USA Network. Then it moved. That's where it is right now. But I always have a debate with people on Instagram, all the wrestling fanatics that are on there, including me, about moving Raw to Netflix. And you heard Triple H talking about there's going to be, from what I heard, there's going to be no changes to Raw at first when it moves to Netflix. But I hate the idea. I don't like the idea of Raw going to Netflix. What is the purpose? I never heard Triple H say why and what the reason is for them moving it to Netflix in the first place. I need somebody out there in wrestling land or in YouTube land can explain to me the reasoning why Netflix is taking Raw. Why would Evoke or the owner? 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on 1 minute here. Okay, hold on 1 minute. All right, I'm going to look this up so I don't say something wrong here. Okay? I'm going to look this up and we're going to find out. Okay? What? Let me this down here. I'm going to Google this. We're going to see why. Why did WWE move Raw? Okay, let's get the real answer here. Move Raw to Netflix. 1,600 episodes. Raw is the most iconic show in sports entertainment. Now, this starts in 2025. Okay? Here's Netflix's comment on this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? This is a big one. Okay, it says here, okay, TKO Group Holdings announced January 23rd of this year a long-term partnership that will bring, okay, beginning in January, Netflix will be the exclusive new home of Raw in the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America, along with other territories within the countries and regions outside the US as available. Inclusive of Raw and WWE's other weekly shows, SmackDown and NXT, as well as the company's premium Peacock is going to stay. So it doesn't say exactly if Peacock's going to stay or not. So I guess we'll have to wait and see in January. Hopefully, I'm going to probably get an email to NBC Universal because they are keeping the contract with NBC Universal for SmackDown to be on USA. So I think that contract is staying, I'm guessing. But NXT is no longer going to be with NBC anymore. It's going to be on the CW, which is, in my view, I hate the CW. Bleh. In my view, they're putting it on a network that's highly popular, in my view, and they're moving SmackDown to where it started. CW. And we'll have to see if they're going to keep their deal with Peacock to put SummerSlam and WrestleMania and all that stuff. And I'm hoping they don't move it to Netflix. If they do, then I got to get rid of Peacock and go to Netflix. So it's going to be a big debate for people. So the link is in the chat. As soon as I meet a bunch of WWE fans like myself, we get into a big, huge thing about the changes. And we say, oh, we want to go here. We're going to miss it on Fox. Fox really lost out on a good thing, and you know, and all of that. Now I've been watching Raw on the same network ever since it started. And it's going to be different not seeing Raw there anymore. Raw has been there, I'm guessing, and those of you who are going to comment later on but correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think Raw started in the 80s. that stuff in the other room on VHS tape. And I don't know how old the tape is exactly, but I don't know how old. WCW Nitro, every Thursday night SmackDown, and every Thursday night Thunder. Because Thunder on WCW and McMahon came out with SmackDown on Thursday nights. They would compete against each other, just like they did on Monday nights. There was no NXT, so just Mondays and Thursdays. And then there was WCW Saturday night. Yeah, and Saturday morning wrestling on TBS. Yeah, and like Tony Khan said in that interview, for 20 years after WCW to TNT and TBS. So you heard that, what he just said. So he said it's fun to have the programming back. And he said, I'm guessing he says, there you go. And so please comment and correct me if I'm wrong about anything I've said on here. Okay, anything that I've said on here today. Let me see here. Hold on a minute here. Boom. Okay, we'll forget that. All right. Put that on here. Nope. Okay, I can't put that on here. All right. Now, also, what I'd like to do is, okay, let me see here. Okay, so please correct me if I'm wrong on this. Anything that I've said in this live stream, put in the comments, in the chat or on my YouTube channel, please, so I can correct myself later down the road. Okay, so this, and it was like 7 to 9, I think, Eastern time, PM. And they had Saturday morning wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling with Tony Schiavone and Jim Crockett. Yes, if you all remember those. And then it was Gordon Soley used to do that Saturday morning until they brought in Tony Schiavone. And he was a young man back then. You can actually, WWE, McMahon bought the whole WCW library from the Georgia Championship Wrestling days and you also got ECW. You can see all the Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was the owner of ECW. Yeah, because when I watched one of the ECWs, you could hear his voice in there. Yeah, and they used to do the ECWs in Philadelphia at some sort of. But so, and it was kind of cool watching some of those back then, and it was the debut of Thunder, and then Vince McMahon, came out with SmackDown. That was really kind of fun. On the same day, the same night, the same night at the same time. SmackDown was on USA, and Thunder was on TBS. And click on WWE, boom, and you can scroll down, and watch all that old episode. A little block comes up to the left-hand side and says, next episode is. Well, that's what they do with WWE stuff. When you're watching Monday Nitro, and then those 3 hours, and actually it was 2 hours at first, and they showed the very first Nitro at the Mall of America. And there was no Tony Schiavone at the first show. It was Eric Bischoff. It was cool to see that again. I watched it a month ago. All those classic wrestling shows, Nitro, Thunder. It was great to see all that stuff. You know? And they had Sting, and you heard Tony say that they had Sting's retirement party. Retirement match, actually. And I wish there was a way we could see the replay of it without being charged. Apparently, you had to pay for it. So there you go. And so those of you that are wrestling fanatics like me remember all that stuff, but you don't remember any of the matches. You don't remember any of the matches that were played, that were done on those shows. There were so many. Watching a WCW Saturday night, and they used to do those at the Universal Studios Orlando. When Universal Studios Orlando first opened, they would do all their Saturday night shows from there. So did TNA. And I was watching it one night, and this person, Goldberg, we didn't know it was Goldberg, and Tony Schiavone saw this strange bald-headed man come shooting out the door and said, we have this strange man that is coming out here in the ring, and we don't know who the hell this person is, blah, 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 and all this stuff, you know. And when some And when WWE bought WCW, Goldberg came back, did a few matches, and then quit. And you never saw him again. So then I just saw about 2 weeks ago, Goldberg wants to do another match in WWE. But he says he has to get his body back in shape again. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And Excuse me. So the link is in the chat room. Yes, yes, yes. So he's there. He is. So anyway, so how's everybody doing out there tonight? I'm having a great time talking about this. And it would be tuned every Monday night to TNT and Monday Nitro. And I would be taping Nitro. I'm going to go back and forth to USA Network. So, and it was really kind of fun. The Monday Night Wars, they called that back then. And it was really kind of fun. Then, when McMahon announced that they were going to have a show to compete with Ted Turner's WCW on Thursday nights, he came out with a show called SmackDown. And it was, I think if I remember correctly, sort of like it was based off of The Rock. USA for a long while. Then it moved to the CW network for a while. Then I think it moved back to USA, and then eventually you know where it is now, Fox, FOX, Fox. And I like it where it is. But the new owners make their decisions. They don't ask the fans anything on how they feel about these changes. They just do it. They just do it. They do it for the hell of it. And they don't want to make the fans happy. But those people that do have Netflix subscriptions can enjoy Raw in January. So we're SOL if we don't have Netflix in January. But we can still watch SmackDown, and we can still watch NXT. So those of us that don't have Netflix have to subscribe now. But can somebody out there who's listening to this let me know if Peacock is going to continue to show all the premium events like WrestleMania, MIB, SummerSlam, and all that stuff. Put it in the comments section of my page, so I can know exactly if I can get rid of my Peacock and go with Netflix for. I hope it does, because maybe they can stream it on Peacock. If you don't subscribe to Netflix, I don't know. I got to see how much Netflix costs. I'm not going to pay for it just for one show. Sheesh. And then I waste my money for not using it for anything else. That's what the big debate on Instagram was. You're going to pay for it for one measly little show. plus everything else that's on there. But everything else on there, in my opinion, stinks. Ugh. I used to get those, what do you want to call those, CDs they used to have, the little package that come in the mailbox? Yeah, I used to get those a lot. And just don't want to comment in the chat, go ahead and do so. Okay, here is the link. Link is in there. There it is. Just click here. All right. You know, when I first started doing these live streams, I was scared to death. Scared to death that you all were going to say, no more, I'm not watching him no more. That's it. You know, so anybody have any questions about what you just saw there? And you note, and you heard him say, Tony, that they acquired Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair, who owns a bunch of TV stations all across the U.S., purchased ROH, and from they hated them. They were a crappy owner and all that good stuff. I only had and all that. So I'm not an expert on anything I've just said, but please correct me. Please correct me if saying in this chat. Okay? All right. I keep saying it every live stream that I do. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody seems to say anything. They just watch, and then after it's over, that's it. You don't hear from these people anymore. I want you all to please interact with my live streams. The link is right there. Okay? The link is here. Okay? The link is here. If you want to come in, it's here right there. Okay? And all that jazz. All right, we're coming up to 1 hour on here now. And I'd like to thank and please correct me if I'm wrong, but all right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so I want somebody at least to get in here and comment. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so I want somebody to comment and say something because you're going to all sit there and watch this live stream. Then, about a month later down the road, I'm going to get all these comments saying, you said this wrong, or you said that wrong, or blah, 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 blah. You know, and I'm just trying to let you all know now, correct me now before I get comments come later down the highway. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all. I'm really having fun doing this. And this is an hour and 2 minutes now we've been on doing this. And we still have the two people haven't left yet. I'm wondering who the two people are that are sticking it out and watching this crappy live stream. And who are sticking it out and watching this darn thing. It's like, to tell the truth, will the real two people please stand up? Dun, dun, dun. Will the real two people I can't be on here all night, So I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers, all my viewers, all the people who watch the videos that I put out here, that I try to put out here for you all. I was really skeptical back in 2020 when I wanted to do a YouTube channel, because I was afraid that people weren't going to even bother to even come out here and watch the darn thing, the stuff that I put out there. I tried to be a techie, but that flopped down the toilet. So I started doing game shows and finding them on Bing, Microsoft, and all that, and stuck them on here. And people seem to enjoy them, So there you are. A month later, I had that happen before. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure serving you today. The operator is now hanging up the phone. And those of you that want to watch the replay, just look on my channel and you'll see the live stream. You can see the replay of this interview that Tony Kahn, President and CEO of AEW, did with WGN Radio in Chicago. And you can hear this crappy live stream, but it's not too bad, though. Thank you for the two that are sticking it out through the entire stream. We've now been on. Thank you to everybody and my Canadian viewers as well, who I want to let people know something. I just can't keep watching tech videos all the time on YouTube. So what I do is I go on youtube.com and just scroll through all the content that's there. And I say, oh, look at that content. Oh, look at that content. And I just click on that video and I get hooked on whatever it is, and I enjoy it. So I said, oh, let me watch this entire video, and then so please, if I happen to pop in a live stream of a content creator that I seem to enjoy. And then people in the live stream say, well, who is that strange person in here? Let's block him. Blah, blah, blah. He's going to be stalking us and everything. No. The reason why I come in that live stream is because I enjoy the content that I watched earlier. And I want to be a part of the community of that content creator. But if it's an underage content, that's all I'm going to say on that. But you get the idea. So thank you again. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Take care. Remember to like, share, dislike, share Facebook, X, and Instagram. Again, Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can share this there. You can share it on I'm not on TikTok, so forget that. No TikTok. So there you go. You can share this anywhere you like. And also share it to your friends or whatever. All right. Thank you. Have a great evening. Goodbye.